Okay. So welcome everyone to the club membership e-assembly. Before we turn it over to Jim and John, we're gonna do introductions first, and then a couple of Zoom protocol items, and then we will turn it over to them. So we'll follow the Zoom protocol of top left to bottom right. I'll just call out your name, and if you can unmute if you're on mute, and just let us know your name, your club, and your role for this incoming Rotary year. John Morrison.
Socorro Rotary Club. I'm in the extension chair, and I'm going to find out what that's all about tomorrow in another Zoom meeting.
Great. And I am Jeff Weinrack, and I am the district trainer for Governor-elect Sunny, but my work is primarily before she's governor. So I'm doing my work before I'm actually officially the trainer. Jim Hatcher.
Yes, hi, I'm Jim Hatcher. I'm the district membership chair. You probably never heard of me. That's fine. And I'm also in the dark, apparently. I can't seem to get any light in here. But I live in Fort Stockton Rotary Club.
Thank you, Jim. Ed Robertson.
Yeah, Ed Robertson, President-elect Rotary del Sol, Albuquerque.
Thank you, Ed. Jill Barkley.
I'm Jill Barkley. I'm with the Carlsbad Rotary Club. I'm the membership chair this year.
Thank you, Jill.
Welcome.
Sandra Pugh.
Hi, Sandra Pugh of, excuse me, Metro Rotary, charter member. We're 10 years old now, looking at our 11th coming up, and I'm the membership chair.
Excellent. Thank you, Sandra. Don Bernardi. Dom, you're on mute.
Okay, not anymore. Don Bernardi, Rotary Club of Albuquerque. I am the alumni chair for the district, and be a pleasure to work with all of you.
Excellent, Dom. Thank you. Governor-elect Sunny.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sunny Kellerman. I'm from the Rotary Club of Silver City, New Mexico, and I have the honor of being your governor as of July 1st.
Yay.
Hey.
Thank you. Jen Dresser.
Jen Dresser, Metro Rotary President-elect.
Thank you, Jen. By the way, I'm doing last names because we have two Sandras, and I didn't want to have like double speak, so I just stopped being consistent. Ophelia, let's go.
Hi, I'm Ophelia Noletsko. I'm current president for the Zaragoza Rotary Club, incoming social media, and I'm helping with the membership.
Thank you, Ophelia.
Sure.
Sandra Roush.
Hi, Sandy Roush, and I'm with Albuquerque Del Norte, and I'm the incoming president.
And hopefully soon to be a state senator?
Yeah, we hope. November, we'll see.
Wow.
District 15.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Teresa Rockwell.
Hi, Teresa Rockwell, membership chair, the Apasa Rotary Club.
Awesome. Thank you, Teresa. Kit Turpin.
I'm Kit Turpin, Rotary del Sol, and I'm the membership chair for Ed Robertson's group this year.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Kit. And Deb. I'm sorry?
I said, good job, Ed.
And Debbie and Gordon Cox.
Yes, this is just Debbie for now. Gordon will be in a minute when he finishes his outside chores. I am the membership chair for the Angel Fire Rotary Club next year, also the secretary and executive secretary, and also the lieutenant governor for Northern New Mexico.
Good grief. Wow.
Yes.
Good grief.
No wonder he's doing it.
That's right. That is right. Okay, thank you all. And so just a few Zoom items. So right now, there are not too many of us, and it may be possible that you can just unmute and we can have an interactive training. If we do hear feedback, and we have to mute everyone except the presenters, then and only then do we need to use other ways for you to ask questions. So again, if it's open mic, you can ask your question as Jim and John are presenting. But if we do have to mute, then there are two ways to ask questions. One is to use the chat button at the bottom of your Zoom window. You can just type in your question, and I will interject when Jim and John are taking a breath and ask the question for you. The other option is you can raise a hand. And to find that option, if you click on the participants button at the bottom of your Zoom window, it'll bring up the list of all of you. And then at the bottom right, there'll be a little button that says raise hand. And if you raise hand, a little hand will appear on the screen. I'll see it. And again, I'll just say, Jim and John, we have a question from Sandra. Sandra, you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question. So we will do that, but only if we need to mute everyone. For right now, let's just see how it goes. And with that, turn it over to Jim and John.
Jeff, you're recording this, right?
Yes.
For people who couldn't be here. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. When I talk to you, I'll be speaking to everyone. Like you're one of my ex-students. You're all 16 years old, and it makes it easier for me to relate as your instructor. No, I'm teasing. I'm not going to do that. Welcome to our opportunities for membership. I hope this works out for everybody. John? John?
I'm coming.
Are you? Oh, okay.
What is Rotary? Rotary is a voluntary, nonprofit, non-governmental, non-religious organization of industry professionals and academics working in intertwined autonomous networks providing self-education, exchange of knowledge, and humanitarian aid. It might sound complex, but it's built on a very simple philosophy. You go through life, working, studying, and taking care of your loved ones. But at some point, you might stop and feel a spark, an urge to not only do good, but to help others as well as yourself. Throughout life, you've had tons of ideas. All of them might not have been the most complex or the most developed, but it's the thought that counts, isn't it? When an idea is introduced into the Rotarian network, and we exchange thoughts, knowledge, and experience, ideas grow along with ourselves and are brought into reality. That is what Rotary is. We know that simple thoughts can become the beginning of something huge and life-changing for millions of people around the world. For us, it has led to projects like local mentorship programs, providing clean water, building schools, disease awareness campaigns, scholarships, exchange programs, wigs for cancer patients, teaching kids karate, providing medical care, blood donations, fighting illiteracy, protecting mothers and children, and emergency food supplies. And to think that our first project was a public toilet, and now we're on the brink of eradicating polio. We believe that with the right people, the smallest thing can make a huge difference. So when you feel the spark, remember Rotary. What is Rotary?
Oops, nope. Okay.
All right, well, so welcome again. We're gonna try and think outside the box. There have been a lot of changes over the years for membership, and we'll try and go over that. Jeff, are you the one in control? There we go. Awesome. All right, so as you're looking through the numbers and everything, they're really good to know. Fortunately, they're written down, so I don't have to remember them totally. But we do have 1.2 million Rotarians, and it would be nice if we had 2.2 million Rotarians, and hopefully someday soon we will. I think if anything, COVID gives us the chance to do that if we concentrate on finding the right people to be in the clubs. So if you want to go through these 35,000 clubs. We'll go through some of that later on, but I'll just mention it right away. These clubs are actually all available to you now as passport clubs, and you can actually visit those clubs online if they have the capability to do that. and visit and trade information and just see what other clubs in other parts of the world do. Promote peace, fight disease, polio mainly, but other things as well as dysentery, and hopefully we'll get over with polio someday and find something else to fight. Clean water. I think all of you guys have probably had something to do with clean water through the district, and get through and grow local economies. What? They're
This
just
is like, not
changing.
cooperating.
Yeah. What's that?
Oh, I'm fighting PowerPoint. Never mind.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead and fight it. That's cool. I fight it all the time. So our mission, provide service to others, promote integrity, advance world understanding and goodwill. Of course, you guys are reading all this, so I don't have to repeat all of it. I was an EMT many years ago, and one of our mottos was do a lot of good and do no harm. And basically that's what Rotary should think about doing as well. So next slide. Here we go. All right, so let's go on down to Rotary strategic priorities and objectives. Okay, we already know what world we see, and we want to create a lasting change across the globe, but there are ways of doing that. So we want to increase our impact, and again, there's polio at the top, and improve our ability to achieve and measure impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. These are lofty ideals, and we have, it's good to set these up, but it's good for us in the local level to look at how we reach these. And these are just some of the ideas on how you can do that. So let's look at enhance participant engagement. I think that is the key here for membership. And so part of this is to support the clubs. This is basically my job, and district leadership, support the clubs to have and better engage their members, help them out, develop participant-centered approach and deliver value, and offer new opportunities for personal and professional connection, and provide leadership when asked for. When asked for, that's the important part. We can offer this stuff until we're blue in the face, and we often do, but until you guys actually reach out to us and ask us for this help, it really is most people just look at the stuff we throw out there and it's just like, well, I'm not so sure, but if you ask us, if you run across a problem, we're here for you. John, do you want to say anything about this?
Well, it's just the fact that, the more members that we can get, the more hands that we have to do service in our community, and the more ideas that will be developed from the membership.
Yeah. That's true. So that would be grow in diversity of membership and participation. Yeah. Okay. Anybody have any questions yet? Nothing out there? Can we go to the next slide?
I'm sorry, before you go forward, I just want to say, if we could see the other slide again for just a second,
sure,
that all 4 of those are going to have an impact on membership, because as we adapt and as we diversify, we're going to speak to people who didn't know they wanted to be in Rotary until now.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next. All right, so membership types, and these are the main types. Generally, you could have others as well, and we can go into that. You can have a family partner. You and your husband or wife can be members. Brothers could be members. The entire family could be members, which would be really interesting, I think. As long as they didn't sit together, I think it'd be great. Corporate, nonprofit, you can have other organizations be a part of your organization. associate, young professional, and of course, when you get to close to my age, and certainly Kit's age, senior active, just picking on Kit a little bit since he's in the dark over here. Any questions on this one? There's all kinds of stuff you can do here, guys. You don't have to. Okay, Jeff, are you waving?
And I have a question.
Sure.
Can you expand in the corporate membership? How does it work? How much does it cost?
Okay, all right. So the corporate membership is left up to the club. All decisions are left up to the club, how you want to do this. You can have a corporation that actually pays for the members that work for their corporation to be in the club. Or
okay.
Excuse me?
So they get, is the same, normally would be like the same cost as a regular member, but, or they have a special deal?
You can have a special deal for them. It's up to the club and the board and how they want to approach this.
Okay.
Jimmy Melver got in touch with me, goodness, 6 months ago when we worked through this because he was wondering how to do this in El Paso. Basically, it's all set up for however the club wants to do it. But there are many different ways that you can actually have a corporate membership.
Okay. Rotary International will charge the same though? Would it give us a different?
Yes, the dues would be the same. What's that?
Yeah, this is Teresa with the El Paso Rotary Club, and we had been researching the corporate too, and apparently many years ago there was something where you could do corporate, and it was on trial, and then they decided that we couldn't do it. So when we were looking at it, one of our past presidents was an attorney, and we were still being told that we were not able to develop any kind of corporate membership. But we will be very excited if we can, and if we have the ability to create whatever makes sense for us. But we actually put it on hold because, and I don't know who they spoke to, but we were told that we couldn't.
When was this, Tressa?
We started it when like maybe a year and 6 months ago.
Oh.
But then we re-looked at it a good 9 months ago, and that was still the feedback that we were given.
Okay.
Because
well,
the
go ahead.
Socorro Club has New Mexico Tech as a corporate, as a nonprofit member, and then we have the Presbyterian Hospital as also as a corporate member.
Yeah.
Sunny?
Yes, two things real quick. One is, one of the ways this can look is one corporate member is a member and pays regular dues. And then there are 3 or 4 other people who could come in that person's stead. Right. So they're all of a piece. And if everyone comes at once, the extra ones pay for their own meals. What I want to say in general to everyone is, things have changed very rapidly in the last 18 months, and we have never had as much flexibility as we have now. Pretty much it is, as Jim said, up to the clubs to invent what works for people in your community.
I will get the email addresses for everybody at the meeting if you like, and I can send you some information on this. That it's readily available from Rotary.org, but I know where to find it. And I'll get it to you, give you a chance to look at it.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks,
sure.
Jim.
And before we go on, I'm sensing there's a little bit of feedback. It might be coming, Kit, from your phone. If it is, it may be that there's audio on your computer as well, and there's some feedback coming through. We'll just see how it goes, but there may be something, because I'm seeing your screen highlighted occasionally. So, okay.
Fine.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Any other questions about this? No? Okay, I guess we can go on.
For the young professional, what it worked for us very nice is that we have a lot of young people that they're either in college, but they don't want to be part of the Rotaract and any of those groups, they want to go jump right into the regular Rotary Club because they want to start building connections and networking. So what we've been doing, if they don't have a steady income, we let them attend the meetings as many times as they want. We consider them as a member, but we tell them in advance that because they're not paying a membership, I don't want to put them on the system, and they cannot hold the positions that will be visible. You know, I have to kind of keep them like in training until they're able to pay their membership. And I have 2 young men that have been coming all along, and it's working.
And that is exactly how that works. The club makes the decision to do what they can for their membership, and you pretty much have carte blanche to do what you like, as long as you pay your Rotary dues or their Rotary dues. As long as those fees are paid up, you can do whatever you want with your membership. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to hurt anybody. I will say, from my perspective, it's kind of easy in Fort Stockton. Of course, we don't have any young members right now because our one token young member moved away. But before the club, generally we have one big fundraiser a year, and that fundraiser pays for everybody's membership fees. And so after that, you can do pretty much what you want to do membership-wise, and hopefully that will garner, you know, whatever kind of membership you can get from the young and the middle-aged and the old. Anybody, we're looking for anybody, you know, as long as they're willing to serve. And we're looking for anyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Okay.
Nope. Okay. All right. John, I'm going to let you start with this one because you're going to be working on starting new clubs and growing membership. That be okay?
Yeah. One of the things that you want to do is to keep your members engaged. And a little bit later on, on one of the slides, you say one of the things, if you can get someone to come to one of your service projects even before they come to a meeting, just to see what Rotary actually does is a big thing. Keeping religion and politics out of your meetings is very important. Before I came to Socorro, we lost one member because of the prayers that they were using. They weren't using Rotary prayers. He was, well, in fact, he's the current mayor.
Oh, no.
And he was a doctor, and we did a lot of medical projects, you know, while he was still a member. They did, and so, but he left because he's a Hindu, I believe, and but they wouldn't change. But so, you know, there's plenty of good prayers you can use. There was one Rotary Club that I visited up in Littleton, Colorado, that instead of a prayer, they gave a little talk on service, and it just went around from different member to different members each meeting. So you don't have to have a prayer. I mean, the meetings are very flexible in what you can do. But things have to be fun. They have to be, they don't drag on and on and on. One Rotary Club that I went to, they had a quiz before each meeting, and they gave maybe 5 or 6 questions or information about a member, very obscure things that people wouldn't know, until they finally could put it all together, figure out who that person was. And that was a lot of fun. But member satisfaction has to be your main component, and it probably would do well to do a membership survey maybe every other year or whenever you think it's necessary, just to see what's working and what's not, so that you can work on improving the meetings for for the club.
And John,
Yeah.
there's a great membership survey in the Learning Center
Yeah.
in Rotary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rotary.org.
And be flexible. Used to be, Rotary, we met every week at a certain time, certain place. And now clubs can meet as few times as twice a month. And so there's all kinds of flexibility. You can move around your meetings. You might go to somebody's house. You might go to an event. One of the meetings might be a service project, or just a fun event. Just make it fun and make it very inclusive with the families too, when possible.
John,
Yeah,
can I interject just for a second about that?
yeah.
And this is just something that I've noticed. My job is in quality, so we deal a lot with customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, that's how it was couched. And then what was discovered is that there are people who will say they're satisfied, but they're still not engaged.
Yeah.
So what the survey groups did is they said, well, satisfaction is great. It's important, but we really want to tap into that engagement, that additional, are they participating? Are they involved? So as a result, a lot of the surveys now, and even in the RI plan we showed earlier, they talked about member engagement, because that reflects more of the participating, rolling up their sleeves, doing things. Otherwise, they could be satisfied, so they may actually answer, yes, I'm satisfied, but you may watch them and notice that they're not necessarily that engaged a member.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, I think part of the reason our members are satisfied, we always say that we're small but mighty, is because we were kind of founded on an alternative structure. And what that meant is a lot of us couldn't attend breakfast or lunch meetings, so we meet at 5:30 after work. And it also means we don't have to rush out of our meeting because we don't have to get back to work. So
Right.
We have a meal together and we have a glass of wine, and we discuss what our projects are going to be. And we often are there until, maybe 30 minutes, sometimes an hour past the time. We've got a lot of members who've stayed on for a number of years, and we do cycle through. We've had a lot of people who've moved and so forth, but we appeal, I think, because we are an alternative, and people are happy about that. So there's always, there's another way to skin a cat, I guess I would say. And we've relaxed all of the, the criteria about only one person from each type of business. And even meeting 4 weeks a month, we meet the first and third Wednesdays of every month. So I think, to your point of making the club flexible and kind of creating a happiness and an excitement to be there, it's more exciting for, I think, a commitment twice a month than 4 times a month, and turning it into more of a social event than kind of a meeting, which we all go through, in our daily office structure. So just my 2 cents there.
Well, you must have seen one of my slides that are coming up when we start talking about different club types. One is called a satellite club.
Mm-hmm.
And a satellite club can either be used to form a regular Rotary club, or it can be part of a Rotary club. It only needs 8 members. And we're working on establishing one here in Socorro, because we have some members whose jobs now don't let them, they can't get off at noon.
Right.
And so once all this COVID and everything is over, we're going to start working really hard on getting the core together. We've got about 5 people right now out of 8 that we need. And the theory there is that, we'd meet twice a month, once to meet and socialize, but also plan a service project. And the next one would be to do the project. But
Can I throw something out there real quick? Yeah. Sandra, you mentioned classifications. That's no longer important.
Yeah.
Any longer in Rotary International.
Yeah.
You can have as many nurses as you want in your club.
Yep.
And cardiac nurses are great, considering everybody's as old as John and I. So, it's really good to have all that. But
we
yeah,
have our doctor in our club.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's no longer a qualification for anybody. Anybody you can have teachers if you like. If you base your club on instructors, that's fine as well. It really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think flexibility is key in continuing to build Rotary.
It's becoming very, very flexible and very, very nice. I think and no longer do you have anybody telling you, well, you've missed 2 meetings, if you miss another one, you're out.
Right.
You don't have to worry about that anymore, unless that's a club ideal. If the club wants to do that, that's fine, but you don't have to do it that way anymore. So yeah, makes a big difference. You want me to take this one, John, or are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
All right. So when you're looking at members, we were just talking about that. When you're looking at members and looking at new people for your club, you may have a different idea of what you want, or you may just be looking at everyone. I hope that's the case. I hope you're looking for everyone. Diversity is strength, especially in a club. And there are some parameters that you may be asking yourself for. You may want people in the 20s. You may want people in their 30s. I will tell you that when I joined, I was 30 something. I'm no longer 30 something. Imagine that. But it was amazing how fast 10 years went. And then they're looking for somebody else that's 30 something. So I'm not saying that's the be all end all, but you may want the younger ones just for the longevity if they're going to stick to the club. But it doesn't really matter. I find across the age spectrum, people come and people go, and so yes, you may be looking for younger people, but don't bypass the older people as well. And do your best to keep them. That's the big thing. And so John mentioned the club surveys, and I would suggest you do the surveys, and you could do this as a club event. Have everybody sit down and do a survey every 6 months, and then get that stuff together. And every 6 months, you get an idea of what these people want and what they're expecting out of the club. And then you can move on and change over time. It's not a hard thing to do. And like Sonny said, there is a really good one out there that you guys can do, and you can do it over and over and over again. It's not that, and there are many different surveys you can do. That's just one of them. International has a lot of this stuff. It's all available. All you have to do is go look at it. I know sometimes it's hard to look through .org's stuff, but that's, once you start into it, it's not that difficult after a while. Okay. Next one.
Well, I was going to say that when I was an AG, I'm sure they still do this now, but I would take the incoming president in a car. We drive around where their club was and look at different businesses and different things. And I'd ask, well, are they members? Are they members? And try to uncover what's right there and you don't see.
Yeah, that's true.
Jim?
Yes.
I don't know if you're going to mention it, but one thing that I've seen that is really interesting is not just the member survey, which you were just alluding to, but also like an exit survey. So if someone's going to leave,
yeah,
to meet with them for a few minutes and just, find out what their reasons were, if it's
Right.
they were moving, but if there was something about it. A lot of times they'll be more open and honest in an exit survey than they were if they were just responding to a member survey, because they just
I didn't even think about that, but that is true. That is.
There's also a healthy club checklist, which is pretty empowering. You might check that out as well.
Yeah. All right. So number 4. It's a hard one for me. Be attractive. I like the fun part, but be inviting. One of the things we used to do in Rotary, don't do it as much anymore, although it happens occasionally. Have a greeter. Have the people greet people as they come in the door. Have somebody, and switch it up. We used to do it with the newbies, but now, try to get everybody to do it. Greet people as they come in. If you do a lottery every time you meet, have the people selling the tickets for the lottery be the greeters. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. It's so good to see you. And you know what? I think Rotarians right now, especially after COVID, we all miss each other terribly. We really do. And we didn't realize how bad we were going to miss everybody until it actually happened. And I have a feeling when we get back, everybody's going to be so happy to see each other. Everybody's just going to get up and spontaneously greet each other. And that's great. But if you have somebody that does it, if you do a rotation in your club and just have somebody stand up there, once a month and get them to, stand up and say, welcome, I'm glad you're here. And, you can do it alphabetically. You can do it age-wise. It doesn't really matter how you do it, however you figure to do it. But it is an important process to be recognized and thanked for being in a place. And that, everybody wants to have approval for being where they are. Laughter is a big one. I love to laugh. Anybody that knows me knows I can clear a room with my laugh. And a good joke during a meeting is great to have, but just, being with other people and keeping it lighthearted, that's a really good thing to have. And sometimes a rare thing to have, because not every meeting is going to be a happy meeting. It's just not going to happen. But if you can keep everybody up, maybe have pretty much everybody has a sergeant at arms. And I think sometimes some of the funniest things you ever see are the fines that a sergeant at arms can give somebody. Your picture is in the paper, you were just elected senator. Guess what? You get to pay, kind of thing. Those kinds of things are really kind of a lighthearted way, and the money goes to whatever the club says it goes to. It doesn't really matter. We throw ours into the scholarship fund. Sometimes it's a lot of money at the end of the year, and some other times it's not so much money, but you got to put it somewhere.
And we had a sergeant of arms who would fine visiting Rotarians because they missed last week's meeting.
I love that. That's funny. And nobody ever didn't pay, right? So that was yeah, that's pretty funny.
This is Dominic.
Yes, Dom.
Yeah, maybe a good time to interject the fact that after we get through this virus business, there's going to be a lot of people afraid to go out because we, as Sonny said, and that may work to your advantage to get some of those guys and gals back in.
I agree. That's a good idea. Then the last one here is, and just kind of falls into what Dom said, social hour. You do a project or you have a meeting and you want to do something else, have a social hour, have a picnic, invite the families, invite the kids. Kids are great, especially for the younger members. It's always good. Invite spouses. Who knows, you may gain a spouse as a member. That's how I got into the club. My wife was the member and then I became the member. So, that kind of stuff, really does work. And up here, number 5, involve spouses and partners, friends and bosses, co-workers, children, neighbors, relatives. so on and so forth. Guests and visitors, prospective members in a meaningful way. I know we're not going to have it this summer, but we've had it for many summers in the past. But RILA students, they're going to be seniors their last year, and before long they're going to be going off to college and stuff like that. Invite them to your Rotary Club meetings. Have them come for lunch. Have them come for the party afterwards. Get them to understand and know people, and eventually maybe get them to join an Interact or a Rotaract club. Those kinds of things are what we're looking for. Any questions? How are we doing on time, Jeff?
Doing fine.
Okay.
It's 6:45, so about 45 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're gonna have to move.
yeah, I think we're gonna have to move. We have a bunch of slides. We're just gonna go through these real quick. Be inviting. Invite everybody. One of the strengths of Rotary is that we don't do religion and we don't do politics, and that is a big thing. All you have to do is go on Facebook for a little bit and realize, that's a really good idea, because that's what binds everybody up on that thing, is religion and politics. It really opens up a lot of what we do, and especially if you have visitors from around the world, because not everybody believes what we believe. It's really nice to have that openness with them. And Rotary is open to all, without regard to race, religion, gender, age, or political affiliation. Maybe even you. It's really amazing how that works out. Find out more, a date and time. Sometimes it's nice to have like a little, we used to do this, we hadn't done this in a while. We had a business card with where we met and the times we met, and we would hand those out. You had the little Rotary symbol at the top, and Rotary Fort Stockton, have the time we met and where we met, and we just go through town and hand them out to people or whatever and say, look, you're invited. We'd love to have you. I will pay for your lunch. I don't always expect the club to do it, but if you want to do that, you just pay their lunch. And I've invited quite a few people to do that. I actually had a few takers. It's kind of like hunting, though. You miss the first 10, you might get the 11th one, kind of thing. That's kind of the way it is with Rotary. Okay. Let's move on real quick and see. All right. Don't bring your checkbook.
Well, you don't want to hit your members up constantly.
Yeah.
Generally, we do that in Fort Stockton. I'm just using Fort Stockton as my example. We do we have a little meeting with them before they come to the club, and we explain to them what the fees are and what they're expected to do. And since we pay their dues for them, it's usually not such a big deal. So constant fundraising. Boy, I tell you what, there is nothing worse. Nothing will kill a club faster than having a barbecue every 2 weeks, or cooking briskets, or doing something like that. Now, if it's a fundraiser, if it's not a fundraiser and it's a service project, that's a different thing. But if you're actually having to go out and sell tickets all the time, it gets, and I know for some clubs, that's the only way you can make money. But be wary of doing it too often. It can be a real tax on the people that are in the club. If you're going to do that, do it in a nice way, and just get, I keep looking at the pictures over here on the right side and not realizing the camera is sitting right in front of me. So all you guys are staring at my left ear. I'm sorry about that. I'll try and look at the little green light where my camera is. It's really odd to do that. It's really difficult to expect people to do things altruistically if they're always having to pay for it. It's one thing to be able to do things in a volunteer kind of way, but you don't want to always have to pay for it. So if you can avoid the constant fundraising, the constant, selling of raffle tickets and stuff like that. For some people, it's easy. Some people have no problem doing it. Me, I always have a problem doing it. But It's not always
Jim, we need to bottom line things a little bit here.
okay. All right. Well, let's go on.
Okay.
This is not always easy. All you guys, some of you guys live in small towns, but have cool, fun, prominent events. Oysters are a problem in New Mexico, aren't they?
Right.
Maybe crabs are too, unless you go to, I don't know where you go for that. And they are out here as well, even though we're a little bit closer to the beach. But wine isn't. And it's always good to have, these kind of fun events. We do a big cruise party. Sonny's been to it. And I'm not sure we're going to have it this year or not. I hope we do, but we may not. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of fun, and we make a little bit of money. So it always helps to do that. This is a big one on the bottom. Team up with one of more of your local nonprofits. Now, Rotary already has a deal with, oh goodness, mind blankness here.
Toastmasters.
The guys, Toastmasters. That's it, Toastmasters. And we're pretty much the same organization now, and it's kind of enlightening. So if you're a Rotarian, you can go to the Toastmasters meeting and be a part of their club as well, and they can do the same for you. It's good to get together and do these things. We partnered in Fort Stockton. We partnered with the Lions Club and donated, I think it was $10,000 for PPE for the hospital just a couple of months ago. So you can do these kinds of things. It's easy to do, and it gets people together. You're not out there to steal their other members, unless, of course, one of them quits and wants to join Rotary. That, kudos, way to go. But but it is not the sole purpose of that. It's getting out there, getting your name out there, getting your name in the paper, on the radio, on the TV, letting people know that there is such a organization as Rotary. Okay. All right.
Well, in your clubs, you just want to start where you are, where you are, and what, and figure out what's working, what's not working with your surveys, and then work on improving the areas that are weak, and figure out, have a good talk with your core members and see what, if they have any suggestions. And then just all work together toward a common goal of making Rotary the best that it can possibly be.
We have a question from Sandra Pugh. Sandra, go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, I think I've heard a couple of times, maybe from you, Jim, that clubs pay the dues of members. Were you talking about that?
Well, not all clubs. My club does. It's up to you whether or not you want to do that or not. That's a club decision.
I haven't heard of doing that, and I'm wondering what's the benefit in doing that?
The benefit is just making your member part of the club. I mean, their dues are paid, and you don't have to chase them down all the time. As you don't have to be your own Rotary police and say, look, you haven't paid your dues. If you don't pay your dues, you're out, kind of thing like that. People hate paying for things sometimes.
Actually, just quickly, sometimes clubs will have a reduced dues rate for younger members to attract them and give them a chance to participate. And my club has an angel fund. We contribute so that people who run into a tough time have a support and don't have to leave the club.
Okay.
I just made it as a suggestion, Sandra. You don't have to do it. It's just an option for your club if you want to do it.
I just hadn't heard of doing it, and I can understand, Sonny, if you have a college kid or a younger person who doesn't have the funds. For me, I find that the objection is the commitment, the showing up. I don't think I've run across anyone who said I can't afford the membership fee. So I was just wondering, you know, what the angle was there.
It's
That's all.
not affordability. It's getting people to you know, we pay their dues and then we get them to work for us. And believe me, we do work. So that's not the, you know, it's not, if we make enough money in our big fundraiser, that pays for the dues, and we just go on with that.
Sure. Yeah, if they turn out to be worker bees, I can understand why that would work. Yeah.
We try our best to make them worker bees. Sometimes they
Yeah.
are, sometimes they aren't.
Sure.
They're people. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Yeah, invite people to your mission. You have a purpose in life and a purpose as a club, and give them a great impression of what you do, and then invite them to whatever you're doing. If you're doing a pancake breakfast, or you're building an adobe wall, whatever you're doing in a club, invite people that aren't members to be at your event, and then invite them to the party afterwards. You know, make sure you have a party afterwards. Invite them to dinner, or serve them lunch, or, you know, whatever you can, and work on the impression. It may take 4 or 5 times, you know, and maybe begrudgingly they'll decide to be a member, or maybe after the first 15 minutes they think, man, this is fun. I feel like Tom Sawyer and I'm painting this fence. But it's all trying to get people to join. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
One of the good things about Rotary in the last 18 months is how much this has changed. We have so much flexibility now on when we meet, cost, and it's not just an old men's or old women or women's club anymore. We're getting to get a lot of young people, and that's where we really want to work on, is getting more of the youth, because they're going to be the ones that are going to continue Rotary after we're gone. And so don't be afraid to do the ask. Several months ago, I had a throat scan done up in Albuquerque, and I had my Rotary pin on, and the guy who was doing my scan says, you know, I was a Rotary exchange student. And then we got to talking, and eventually I got him in contact. Hopefully he got in contact with a club that would fit what he was looking for. But it doesn't, I'm going to skip this video.
John?
Yeah.
I just quickly want to say, when you ask someone and they say not now, ask them if they'd like to be asked again later.
Yes.
If they say yes, ask them when they'd like me to get, you know, when would you like to hear from me? So that when you follow up, you're meeting a promise that you made rather than being a past. Works like a charm.
Yeah. Okay, so what we've been talking, Jim and I have been talking about, is how the Rotary has changed so much and given the clubs a lot of flexibility on what we can do. No longer, you know, like your club can just meet twice a month if that's all they can do, or all they want to do, and do projects. Your attendance doesn't have to be 100% like it was when I came in. In fact, it's really now set by the club. There's all kinds of different things that you can do to make it easier for people to be a part of Rotary. And that's what we want to do.
Yeah. So you're flexible. You can do pretty much what you want to do with your meetings. You can, even though we talked about not having a prayer, you can have a prayer. It's up to you.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and we live out in the Bible Belt, and it's really strange for a lot of people not to do that. Just realize that you may have a visiting Rotarian, especially nowadays. online that may object. There are no Rotary police though, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. What's that? No, okay. You can have traditional meetings that follow a certain pattern every time you have a meeting. You can do service projects during your meetings, social events. They can be online. Everybody's doing them online right now, like we're doing right now, Zoom meetings. That's we're very fortunate to have this resource, and I think it's working out pretty well. It's fun to do. It's fun to do the passport thing and go to different clubs. They're listed on Rotary.org, and you can go to different clubs around the world. It's a lot of fun. I've done it twice now. Alternate or combination. So just realize that you're flexible now, and if you want to do it a certain way, you can do it that way as long as the club wants to do it that way. Okay, next. All right, you can vary days, times, how often you meet, how many minutes you meet, but it has to be at least twice a month. That's the only rule here, guys. Twice a month. You can do twice a month at 4 in the morning if you want to. I don't want to be a part of that meeting, but you can do that if you want to. Of course, that would be 5 in the morning for me, so that might be okay. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. Go ahead. All right, attendance. All right, you can relax your attendance requirements if you want to. You can make them strict if you want to. It's up to your club. Everybody is welcome to do it as they please. All right, and you can encourage other ways to participate. We always say that if you go to a board meeting that's in the evening, or if you go to if you show up at a service project, these are makeups. You know, if you want to meet with 3 other or 4 other Rotarians somewhere, that's a makeup. All you have to do is tell your secretary that you guys, if the secretary needs to see your bar receipts, you know, what the heck, just give them your bar receipts. You know, it's all still considered a Rotary meeting. As long as you sit there as Rotarians, I don't see a real problem with that. Very flexible, very flexible.
Just quickly, Jim.
Yes.
Attendance requirements are no longer imposed, and Rotary International does not track attendance. Some clubs still encourage it because it actually fosters fellowship.
It does.
And engagement.
There is an amazing club in the district that always seems to have perfect attendance every year, and I still can't figure out how they do that. Unless people are chained there, they do it at the nursing home. I don't know how they do it. It's just amazing. So
they make their meetings irresistible.
Irresistible. I love that. Awesome. That's great. Okay, next.
Okay, now we go to clubs. We no longer just have a traditional Rotary club. And to start a traditional Rotary club, you need to have 20 members who are interested in starting it. And usually we'll have 1 or 2 Rotarians from a sponsoring club to help them with starting it. But the one that I really like is the idea of the satellite club, which can be attached to any club. And it's a really, seems like it's a real easy way to grow members, because like I say, you're going to be able to reach the people that can't make your regular meeting. And the satellite club can either have their own projects, or they can work with the main club on projects, or the main club can work with the satellite club on their projects, but they're all part of the same club. They just meet at a different time. And they can meet just twice a month if that's all they need to do. Of course, we've had e-clubs for some time now. And those are very, if you haven't attended one of those, some of the programs are really great. Then we have the Passport Club that Jen was talking about, where you just go and visit another club, especially if you're traveling. When I go on vacation, I usually always try to make up at least 1 or 2 Rotary Club meetings, even if there's several Rotary clubs. My wife goes to Colorado for a horse clinic for 2 weeks. I'm there, I cook breakfast for everybody, but at noon, if there's a Rotary Club meeting that I can make, I'll go there. And I don't have to go if there was 10 clubs that met on different days, I would probably go to a Rotary Club at lunchtime every day. Just because I really like to see what other people are doing and the projects they're doing. And I always bring back something to my club. Corporate clubs are, or if you've got a large organization, it could be a hospital, it could be a large, it could be, like Intel. There in Rio Rancho. I mean, they could have a Rotary Club there if they wanted one. That's another possibility. There are some small communities that have mining concerns.
University.
And universities where there might be a good possibility of a club. Sometimes clubs are people who are really passionate about something will come together, and that's what they'll focus on. It may be health related, could be environmentally related, but that's where their focus is. Alumni-based clubs are people who have been involved either in as exchange students, or they were Rotary Youth Exchange, well, we used to have it where the young professionals would go to different countries. They don't do that anymore.
Group study exchange.
Group study exchange. There's Peace Scholars. There's all kinds of people who've been touched by Rotary that, they could either make their own club, or the district should make, Dom's, I think he's heading that up, should really reach out to these people and get them back involved with Rotary. Rotaract is now, can be a true Rotary club, and those have been normally started in universities, but not necessarily. It's just the age group of 18 to 30.
And the upper age limit is now gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I tell you, it's changing all the time. It couldn't be more flexible.
That's true.
Okay. Well, there are a lot of resources for information on membership, and if you're interested in starting a satellite club or something like that with your club, all this information will be sent out to y'all. And we just want to make this a very good year. We want Sunny to meet and better all her goals as far as membership and club development. And I don't see any reason why we can't do it.
Yeah. Any questions, guys? Anything out there? Any comments?
And again, feel free if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, this is Debbie Cox.
Yes.
I'd like to discuss the issue of keeping religion out of Rotary for just a moment.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every Rotary Club meeting I've ever gone to, there has always been a prayer.
Yes.
Now, and the prayer should not necessarily focus on the Christian religion.
Correct.
In fact, we went to a club meeting in Idaho, and they had a Rotary prayer book, and the woman read a prayer from the Rotary prayer book that was just excellent. And I'd really like to hold of the Rotary prayer book. The prayer was a big issue in Angel Fire. When we first chartered our club back in 1999, I was told we had close to 48 members.
Wow.
We lost probably 16 of them in the first 5 years over the issue of the fact that we were praying in our club meeting. And these people objected to having a prayer. Yet we said to them, this is a fundamental ingredient of Rotary. Every, international Rotary meeting I go to is opened with a prayer. So what did you really mean by keeping religion out of Rotary?
Well, basically, like you say, Rotary has prayers, which are not focused toward any particular religion. And so that's what I was talking about.
It's always a touchy subject.
Yeah,
where you are.
Actually, in international and district events, it's generally referred to as an invocation rather than a prayer. And the idea is to return us to that place of inspiration that brings us together. So it's helpful if it doesn't lean toward a particular religion. But
I
it
don't know when
does.
Rotary came up with this idea, but it's been as long as I've been a Rotarian. So
Yeah, and I don't know that it's required. If a club wanted to do away with it, it wouldn't ruin Rotary. As long as the core values of Rotary, the 5 core values, everyone know about those? As long as those are reflected in the meeting and in the work that you do.
Can I interject on that also?
Yes, Jeff.
Because I think when you put the slide up, you mentioned politics and religion, and we kind of see the same thing with politics.
Yeah.
Either it's never approached, so there's no political notion to any particular program, or the club decides they're going to balance. So if they have 2 points of view on a political issue, they'll say, okay, this week we'll have the one point of view, and the next week we'll have the other point of view. So if they do include it, they strive for some kind of balance to reflect that they're not biased towards one or the other.
Yeah. And I've seen clubs have Native American prayers and then Muslim prayers. And then, you can actually do that too. Weave it into a collective consciousness if that's what your club is inspired by. Does that help, Debbie?
Yes, that helps. And then I'd like to ask Don Bernardi, as alumni chair, what specific programs he is thinking about or what he is suggesting to us as, because we have probably 15 alumni who still live here in Angel Fire.
Oh, wow.
That we should approach and go after. But how and what's the specific value prop? How can we convince them to come back? Does Dom have any suggestions?
Go ahead.
I got it. To answer your first question about a specific program, I think it's going to have to be tailored for each club. As you pointed out, Angel Fire has its own built-in reservoir, if you will, of past members that it should work on. I'll be glad to sit down or come up and talk to you about putting together a specific program to develop an alumni program for your club. And that's how I think I'm going to approach it for other clubs in the future.
Okay, Dominic, I think what I will do is have my list in front of me, because I know all these people. And I'll just give you a call and brainstorm with you a bit on what we might do to a group of people. Okay?
That'll work. I'd love to do it.
Okay,
and I'd like to be involved in that kind of conversation myself. Our community has lots of Rotary alumni, and I'm thinking either a passport club or an e-club might be a possibility for them.
Yeah, again, I think it's going to depend on the best approach for each club.
I think you're right. Thank you. Sandra Pugh, did you have your hand up?
I did. I just wanted to say, you know, as far as recruiting new members, James Morrison was very instrumental in helping our club found. And I just found him fearless in approaching people. And he didn't see it as an imposition at all. It was, I don't know, like a mission for him. And we had just founded, and we had, I think, 30 members when we formed, and we used to rotate at different venues around town every month, and it got too crazy. So now we're permanently at one spot. But I remember we were at a bar and shouting because we couldn't hear each other over the din of, you know, the excitement going on. And he saw a guy walk into the room and sit at a bar, and he said, he looks like a perfect candidate for Metro Rotary. He was in a suit. He was, you know, short hair, very well coiffed, you know, 40 years old. And so James excused himself to go speak to him, and he came back and he said, well, shoot, he lives in Santa Fe and his father is actually a prominent Rotarian. I don't remember the name, but he thought, like fishing, I'm going to get another member to shore up this new Rotary club, you know. And it wouldn't have occurred to him for one moment that it was an imposition.
It's
It
an
was,
invitation.
he thought he was doing that gentleman a favor and Rotary a favor and our club a favor. And it really made me think, you know, and I've brought on 5 members in the 10 years that I've been in my club. 2 are still there. Others have moved on for whatever reason. But I don't know, I kind of took that on board and always felt like I'm doing them a favor. I'm not, you know, imposing. So I learned that from James Morrison.
That's wonderful.
We have to be evangelists for Rotary. I mean,
well, I don't know if we want to go there.
If I'm around somebody for very long, I always look for a way to get brand to Rotary.
Yeah.
I have my elevator speech.
Me too.
And I wear my pin every day. And it has worked.
Yeah.
If I don't ask them, they'll ask me. So, you know, it's something to be very proud of.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a flip side to this, which is that appropriate vetting is important.
Yeah.
Well, you know that
not everybody in a bar.
Well, as Rotary International points out, 50% of the people that leave Rotary leave in the first 3 years, in part because there was a mix of wrong expectations. Right.
Yes.
So,
thank you.
So being aggressive is fine, but you still want to make sure before they join that both sides feel that it's a good fit.
I mean, it's just like, you know, what James did. You know, you look at the person, you can say they look like they might make a good Rotarian.
Yeah.
And you can ask. You can do the ask. It doesn't mean that they'll join.
It's an invitation to check it out. Yes. You know, Holger Knacht, the incoming Rotary International president, has said, you know, to choose carefully, you know, actually keep in mind that you are choosing lifelong friends.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that whoever you're bringing into your club shares Rotary's core values before you go too much further. And keep in mind that when people come into Rotary and then leave, they don't necessarily leave as ambassadors for Rotary.
Right.
So, you know, we don't want to start filling the world with people who were misled and who joined a club with expectations that weren't met.
Right.
And Sunny, to your point and John's point, I also remember early in those days, Rick Aiken saying, we don't want people that can just fog up a mirror.
Exactly.
If I can add just a comment, our club started 2 years ago. So in order to charter the club, we needed 20 members requirement, but we got 31 to get started. All new Rotarians, This is our being in business like 2.5 years now. Ask me how many of those are here today. 0, probably 1 or 2. But what I learned on these is not everybody's a Rotarian, for one, and not everybody will stay. They have to be part of a team. So we changed in the second year. Instead of focusing so much on growing a number and having a larger club, we focus more on staying together and to strengthen friendships and relationships. And everybody, it's very rare that we have somebody leaving the club, very, very rare. But that simple mentality helped a lot. So we still bringing people in, but we require them to attend the meeting 2 or 3 times. It's in our bylaws. They have to come to 3 consecutive meetings, and we feel that after that 3rd meeting, they already know us. They already feel close. We already have a kind of a little relationship, if not pretty good one, and they tend to stay. And we also ask them to pay the first month at the installation night. So at least we have a month. It helps a lot. It helps a lot. That made a huge difference in our club.
Debbie, you got your raised hand. Go ahead. Oh,
Yeah, this is Gordon.
Gordon.
As you know, Debbie and I are relatively newlyweds, and I was wondering if any other clubs tried the prenuptial agreement approach. I became a Rotarian just before Debbie and I got married because it was conditional. Debbie said I had to join Rotary if I was going to marry her.
Well, whatever works.
I was the first Rotarian in the club to be inducted with a kiss.
Oh, how cute.
Oh, that is so cute.
That's adorable.
I don't think that's the atypical member, but that's really cool. Yeah.
That is really cool.
We have a few minutes left. Are there any other questions? I know Sunny wants to have a few closing remarks. Any other questions? Okay, very good. Sunny, why don't you go ahead and
Okay.
closing remarks.
Just a few things to underscore from what John and Jim have so expertly presented. I think this is a really good overview of things that make a difference in both attracting and keeping members, and we want to do both. What I would ask us to keep in mind is that we are working hand in hand with our public image people and our foundation people, because all 3 of these aspects will meld. And every time we have a project, a service project, it's an opportunity to bring in people who could participate with us. And it's an opportunity to be known in the community. You've probably heard that not only are there, 8 out of 10 people don't know what Rotary is, but apparently there are at least some studies that show that 60% of people don't even know if there's a Rotary Club in their community. So we have a lot of work to do just getting the word out. Yeah. I say to you that Rotary has never been more needed than it is now. The opportunities for service have never been as huge as they are now. And there are people walking around out there who are Rotarians and don't know it. You know, people who want to make a difference, people who are clearly about service, people who are our lifelong friends that we haven't met yet. And so being fearless, as Sandra was saying, being fearless and being open to the ask, as John said, is key. The other thing I want to underscore is the watchword here is flexibility. It's about finding out what your members want and need to have Rotary work for them and setting it up like that. The only requirement, as John and Jim were saying, is that people meet twice a month, but the meeting can be a service project, it can be a social event, it can be online. You know, it's so incredibly easy to be a Rotarian and make a difference at the same time. What else do I want you to know? I think the focus on service and fellowship is really the key to the whole thing. And Jeff made a comment to me that actually you can have people focus their membership on wealth, wisdom, or work. All three are needed in Rotary. Bring whatever you have to bring to make our world a better place. That's it for me, unless anyone's got any questions for me or comments.
So I also want to thank Jim and John. And what will happen next is this training will be recorded, well, is being recorded, will be uploaded to YouTube, and I will send you all and the other membership chairs the link tomorrow. And I will also send you a survey for you to complete and return about how this training went. The feedback is very important to us. Also, John, if the PowerPoint that I have is the same one that you used today, I will forward that to the participants as well.
I will give you, I noticed that I left one number off my phone number, so I'll correct it, send it to you.
Perfect. So you'll get the
Sure,
PowerPoint.
you did that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you'll get the PowerPoint, the recorded link, and the survey.
Cool.
If that is all, thank you all very, very much for your participation tonight.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Stay healthy.
You too. Thanks, Jim and John. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.